So welcome to the Corner Bird Studio live stream. Grab my glasses a bit. Hello Jupiter! Oh my god. I know! I'm so shocked. Thank you for coming in. Such a nice way to start the stream. Let me 10 seconds early. Yes. Wait, let me turn on the aircon's getting warm. It's been so hot in Singapore. Like, I feel like I like to walk around outside, but it's just so warm. I don't want to sweat when I walk around. Which is quite sad because it's so pretty in Singapore, like all the trees. Like I think is it NParks like did such a good job with the variations of plants and all that. I think it's one of my favorite things in Singapore, like just seeing like even just the roadside. You can see like 10 different variations of bushes, and I'll be like, how did they plan all this? And they're so beautiful, but it's just so hot. Oh yeah, from Australia. It's been so cold. Like, I wish that you can just like pass me some of that coolness, and then I pass you some of the warmth. It's been I don't remember when was the last time I streamed. Was it last week? And I've been busy with posting up the remaining bits of my mermaid renders, which I've decided to call Mermaid Glimmer because they have glamorous glimmers. And I'm kind of feeling a bit fried. Oh no. Well, I'll get well soon. Well, I had the cold last month, so it felt so miserable. Hope that you can take care of yourself and get the rest that you need. Like, I'm just so glad I'm not coughing into my streams anymore. It feels like a faded memory, like a distant past that I was just coughing all the time. And I'm going to jinx myself. I feel like a cough is coming in just because I'm saying that I'm coughing. Yeah, so this was the latest one that I painted over. I really like how it looks. And I'm not really sure. No, I think it's fine. Maybe it's a bit bright. Okay, thank you. I really like my renders too. They all look so beautiful. It does this thing of like when I see, like, is it fine to say this? But I feel like when I see the general Nomad Sculpt uploads, like when you look for content related to Nomad Sculpt, I feel like I don't see enough like pretty stuff or beautiful things. And I'm just glad that I can contribute some beautiful looking renders to the Nomad Sculpt community. Yeah, like a little bit of why I'm feeling a bit fried. I feel like it's probably because I just finished this whole thing. Let me just cycle through. I just finished all my the renders I want to paint over for this project. Wait, is it too dark now? Can't really tell. I feel like blue is a little bit difficult to show on screen. And like usually when I'm finally done with my Paintovers, my renders, and it's time to post on social media and on ArtStation, it's kind of like the time when I'm because I don't really go on socials that much. Part of it is because I feel really anxious if I do. But like, I guess like to become an artist, you just have to expose yourself and market yourself. And that's around the time when I'll just see a lot of other artists' works. And yeah, like last night I was doing my ArtStation post. I'm like, I want to get it. I know there's Sunday, but then I want to get it done with so that I can move on in life. But yeah, it's just like so difficult. I know people say that I'm just like too hard on myself, but it's just so difficult. Like there's this like train wreck happening in my head, or like this roller coaster where it's just constantly telling myself in my brain that like, man, like look at all of these people's works, like it's so much better than yours. Like all these professionals, like look at the colors, look at their like details, their finalized looks. But yeah, I know that I'm just being hard on myself. But you know, this, even if I tell like the whole night, I'm just telling myself like, ignore everything, just post it, just post it. Your stuff is good, and even if it's not that good now, it's just like a matter of time before you get better, and you just need to put in the hours and just push out more work to get better. But it's very tiring mentally. So yeah, I'm feeling a bit frightened. But everything is out now. I hope that one of them is me, one. Wait, will I be watching myself? Like, is that how, like, do they count me as one person? Like from OBS? I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you for tuning into the stream. And yeah, enough of that depressive thoughts. It's always part of the cycle and always part of the process. So I will embrace it. But yeah, one thing that I realized from this project is that I learned quite a lot from it. Like the progress that I made from day one to yesterday for this particular one, I think that's quite a big jump. And like I'm kind of thinking of like whenever, because I spent so long on one project at one time, mostly because there's so many things I have to learn. So I'm kind of thinking of like doing some sort of vlog kind of thing of like, oh, how I like what I learned from this series, or what I like how I did this. I think it'll be more of like what I learned, but then I still don't really know what kind of thing I want to. There are two other people. I guess these are the two other people. Just staring off camera right now. But yeah, so that's something that I'm thinking about. Then at least it's more streamlined than like these live streams where I don't really know like have anything planned. And I guess like usually the live streams also I have more of my internal thoughts running wild. And yeah, I mean, part of the live stream also helps me structure the things that I need to do for my videos, because like sometimes the only things that I realize when I talk to myself about things. So I think that's kind of what this live stream is about. I'm going to talk about like how I made these things, and hopefully maybe that will kind of like spark some inspiration to maybe hopefully make a proper video on like this whole series of Mermaid Glimmer images, because yeah, there's quite a lot of things that I learned. And also, look at this, be shonen. Oh my god, it's so... I was playing around with my Masma sculpt yesterday. Was it yesterday or the day before? And like, oh my god, it's so cute. I feel like this kind of summarizes my interest. Hot dudes and cute stuff. And cute looking snakes. Hello everyone. Hello the other 4 people. No, the other 3 people, since one of them is myself. Let me see. But yeah, like, this was how the whole thing started out as, and this is how it ended up as. So what's in the snake mouth is, you know, that kind of what was it? Let me get my phone. Like a long time ago, I came upon this. There's this parasite that lives inside the fish mouth like this. I don't know whether they're beneficial or they're bad, but I was like, oh, you're so cute. It's cute too. Wait, where are you? Where's my... Oh. Yeah, I was like, hey. But don't worry, like, this bird is beneficial to the snake. I think. I hope. There's also this like crucifix on the bird. You know, from Elden Ring, there's like this crucifix hanging around Elden Ring, the lands between. So maybe the bird has hidden powers and the power of a great rune. Yeah, like right before working on this one, I was... Where are you? Right before I was working on it, keep getting lost in my folders. Like, I was working on this one. This one was the project that really jumpstart the use of colors for me. I think before this I wasn't really painting with colors even. Yes, I know, he's just chilling. That's what makes things cute, right? Like the casual chill in like dangerous situations makes them feel very cool. And so like around this time, I think I kind of worked on this after that one. Then I started painting immediately, like after working on like the base mesh. And then this one is the final look. And like I guess I was like looking through my like photos history, and then I realized that, well, I'm always trying to find where everything is. Okay, this one. Like, this was in... When was this? Yeah, I guess this was like early 2024. And like, I was just doing 0 colors at that time. I mean, partly it's because I did this on my first generation iPad Pro. So it's not a lot of RAMs, 2 gigs of RAM. So I can't... Like, I could barely do like painting and post-process. Like, I can't really do that without like it running off RAM. So yeah, it's a really big jump. I can't believe that I was sculpting for so long, because this took a few months. Like, I can't believe I took so long sculpting this without color. Like, I don't even know how I did it. Because I'm like now I need color to work with, like to get motivation in with my stuff. Even this one, like around this time I was really working with a bit more color, but you can see that it's still quite boring, I would say. Like, still very one-dimensional. And yeah, I don't remember how I did it anymore. Like, now I'm trying out, like with this one, I'm trying out the new method of painting that I've learned from the past few paintings, like including the mermaid one. So I think it's turning out pretty nice, but this will be for another time. I think this one, yeah, this one has a little bit more painting on him. Yeah, like one thing good about having the latest iPad too is just being able to paint and having the RAM to paint like really high detailed meshes, because my wireframe kind of sucks. So yeah, anyway, this like sidetracking really. Look at this cutie. It's so cute. So on the sidetrack, I was taking a break yesterday because I was kind of like going nuts with painting this one. So I was like, oh, I need a break. And then my boyfriend was doing some origami. Like, he made this. It's so cute. It's a Japanese dude. The book that talks about the basics of origami folding. Then this is the squirrel. Like, it's so cute. Actually, like, it has to be more like this. Like, you can see the arms. You can see the bushy tail. Yeah, so this is what that is. And it's cute origamis. But I was kind of going nuts with this because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with this one. I don't know whether I can even... Oh my god, why are you so up? Like, I don't even know whether or not I know how to replicate this. I feel like maybe I don't. So like, what would I want to talk about with this one? I'm not really sure. Let me see my list. Yeah, a whole bunch of things have happened with this. But I kind of merged a lot of the renders. Let me see. Do I have the old version? Wait, let me grab the old version. Give me a sec. I feel like recently I've been liking working with Stage Manager. So you can see that there's a bit of a border. But you can't really do this with one software, I think. Like you have to add another window and then resize it to this like maximum size, and then close the other window, and then you can keep this. Because if you just do like one app and you try to resize it to this size, like it would just full screen. Like I don't really understand the logic sometimes with Apple stuff. It feels like they're like on a different realm or something sometimes. So this was the initial version of this. Actually, this is not. Where are you? Yeah, this was the initial version. So this was directly Say Goodbye to Pretty Boy. I don't know why I like Masma so much. I think it's just the his character design is so good. But it seems like everyone likes Mikola and his Melina. But I feel like they're like it's kind of weird, but I'm really happy that FromSoft and Elden Ring is getting the recognition that these deserve. But I kind of feel like a lot of the characters in Elden Ring are very self-conscious, and I don't really know how to explain it. Like it just feels like they are self-conscious that they're in an Elden Ring world, and they're acting. But I feel like Masma is one of the characters that don't really feel self-conscious that he is existing in a game setting, like in the Souls series. Maybe that's why I like him a lot more. Like Mikola feels a bit self-conscious in was it just a voice acting? It's very self-conscious. Yeah, not sure. But it's like I can kind of get the hype for Mikola and Melina, but yeah, I just like Masma a lot more. So this one is, which one is this? Let me try to find. Oh my god, so many. I think it's this one. This one, and so with this with the default Nomad Sculpt renders matcap, it's a little bit I can't think that's a little bit limited in certain ways. But I kind of wish that there's a way to adjust the variations of this toon shader for different things, because it looks really nice on some things, and it looks a little bit like it just needs a little bit of tweak on other things. So is it too bright? No. So this one is a combination of this one, and I think, which one are you? I don't really recall which one. Was it this? See, I don't remember anymore. Oh no, maybe it's okay. So it's a mix of this and this one. So it's a mix of the toon shader, but I feel like it's a little bit like it might just be from the lack of details on my part, as in sharp details. But it's also it's kind of like a blend between this and that one. So I picked the areas that I like from this one and some from this one. So I think that's something that I learned from working on this specific image. that I can kind of just pick and choose the matte cap, the lit PBR, and just like mix them together in paint. Like initially I think I was using this only for that painting, but I felt like because the whole series is like let me try and get it. So I like to use the like photos or PureRef to line up the images I have when I'm close to finishing all of them and I want to post on my art station. So this is something that I do since the first art station post that I did for the Mesmer and Dark Souls 2 series. And I really find this really helpful to make my decisions on what I want to choose for certain renders, which I feel like is something that I'll do a little bit faster in the future, to line everything up together to see, like, I kind of don't really like to say this, but to see like what story to tell through all the images. So this one, actually I didn't really use that much of this one. I guess what I really found lacking was the face detail for the toon mesh, and so I used the renders to bring back some of the features that I like from the just from the lit PBR mode. So that's what this one is. This one is more straightforward. I think this one is just purely matte cap. Let me see. Where are you? I think it's this one. Yeah, this one looks really pretty on its own. So I don't really have to do that much with this one. I think like so far the toon matte cap, the problem that I have with is the face. The face or maybe just areas that I didn't paint that well. Like I didn't really bother painting this part or even this part because it was the back. But maybe on hindsight I should have just painted it so that it's a lot less work for me in the Paintover stage. But it is what it is. Then after this, let me see, after this, what did I do? So this was the original renders. It's like that. And then something that I really like to use nowadays. I'm not sure whether this will be something that will stick around for a very long time. Or maybe I just haven't found something like the exact workflow that I want. But I think so far it's been working out pretty alright. Which is using the, let me just double check that this is the correct. Yeah. So something that I like to do now, and I'll do it on this one since this is a fresh there's nothing done on this yet, is to use the smudge tool, and you can use things like the stucco, but you have to be careful because it can remove a lot of things. Sometimes I'll just use it to add this kind of you see like this texture here, or something like this. So this is the before and this is the after. So this is very helpful for really flat areas like this, or even like this part. Of course, like because this is the second time that I'm doing it, okay, let me darken this a bit. So because I'm doing this for the second time, so it's a little bit more familiar to me. But I think it kind of took a little bit of a learning curve to do this. So even something like this, it's a little bit difficult because I can lose a lot of detail like this. So I just have to be, but like a brush that's too small is also not really that, I find like the texture is not enough. So I like to just experiment like what brush size I need for this and then do that. Sometimes with this kind of thing, I don't really know how the brush works, but it seems like let's say if I work on this one, you can see like it likes to drag in. It likes to drag in this dark color on the left side. And like sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I think something like this, no. Yeah, it's a little bit finicky, and that's why it takes a while sometimes to do this kind of things. Oh my god, the sun is so bright. Give me a sec. And when it comes to something like this where the black lines is pretty thin, if I smudge like that, it kind of disappears completely. So it's really just like being very careful with this kind of edges. When it's really big like this, then you can see that it drags out pretty alright. And then yeah, I just need to be really careful with this. Then sometimes something like this is a really big area where it's just completely flat. Then I'll try to drag in. But sometimes it's a bit difficult because I can't like push things inward like that. Then I'll use it as a brush instead. Something like that. So it's pretty nice. And the good thing is that these are all default Procreate brushes, so you can just use it to, you can use it for your own things. And then I think for this specific one, I like to use hot round brush, so you can see like this to draw. Like that. And also one by this artist. I think people into art will probably know her name. So one of her Procreate brushes that she has on Gumroad to draw as well. So this one is pretty good for things like drawing these kind of lines. So I had a lot of fun just drawing something like this, or like that. Of course, this is all like just really crude drawings right now because the values are not correct. Wait, we are back closing the door. And in terms of, there's something that I kind of trying to figure out with my content on YouTube, like proper videos, is on, like, I don't really know how much of it is from the knowledge of, how much of this is from knowledge accumulated across the years, and it just like takes a lot of time, and how much of it is like, if I explain it, then people can pick it up right away. Because I feel like maybe I am kind of forgetting the beginner, the feeling of like being completely new to painting and all that, just because I have been painting for a while, but just not like painting my own things. So yeah, I'm not really sure about that. So that's something that I kind of like thinking about. And then what else is there? Oh, I kind of forgot. Like for lines like this, I want to do it on a new layer, but this already, can I just undo it? I can just leave it. Then something else that I also like would be, because I have a macropad, I can assign I have a macropad and there's no way to, there's no liquify hotkey for I don't know what reason. So something that I like to do with liquify would be to, no, not this one. It would be to fix areas like this. Just because this is in the nature of 3D space, it's just like really difficult to target every single angle. So some angles, like I just can't help it, it's going to be a straight line like that, because I'll be like working on it in this angle and this angle, and then there's just so many things to do. So it's just going to, I'm just going to have straight lines sometimes. So something that I like to do with on the Procreate side is to push things around, to do something like this. Something like that. Like just to fix the little bits of straight lines. And then that way it's just really fast to create a nice flow to the image. I think especially for something like this, kind of like pick and choose between twisting it and pushing it. But sometimes I do just go in and like just fix it with dry. Oh my god, the sun is intense. The setting sun is always blinding in my eyes, so I need to close the curtains a bit. So sometimes, instead of just doing the liquefy things, I like to use the brush to just go in and create that curve instead. Something like that. So it's a pretty long process, I feel, but I don't really know how to do it any faster. Like, I'm not really sure whether I'm doing it relatively fast or very slow, because like the speed sometimes might just be that I'm doing things for the first time, and I mean not really the first time, but I'm doing things for the first time for specific images and colors and all that, and I just haven't streamlined it yet. So maybe that's one of the things. But one of the stuff that I like to one of the stuff that I like to do. Yeah, this is just one of the workflow that I really like for painting over my things. So you can see after this one. So this is just a lot of dry brush smudging like this. You can see, and then a little bit of liquefy. I guess because like I'm looking at this for the second time, like with fresh eyes, so there are a lot more things that I will liquefy from the start. But you can see like from this that I didn't really liquefy a lot of things. So you can see in areas like this, in areas like this, you can see sometimes the dark lines will kind of vanish. And that may be a good or a bad thing, depending on the area that I'm working on. Oh yeah, that's like the downside that's like the biggest downside for working like this. I'm not sure whether I brought that one back. I guess not really. I guess instead I brought in this extra line over here, like this. Yeah. So I've been following my streams for a while. You know that I was spending a few weeks learning how to paint by doing paint studies from different movie stills. And one of the things that I learned from it is that the values of different colors that is saturated are very different. So a very saturated yellow will be brighter in value compared to a very saturated blue. So with that kind of understanding, that's how I painted all these different colors here. So let's say if I want to do this pink. So this pink is like around here. Something like that. And I can sprinkle it at different areas like this. And then I'll be like, The whole process of making this one was just like painting things in, and I'm just like looking at it from this distance and be like what else can I add to this? And I'll be like, oh, I feel like it's kind of missing a bit of blue colors. Then I'll go to a bluer shade, and with the knowledge in mind that a saturated purple is brighter than a saturated blue, then I'll need to remember to kind of like bring this down a little bit. And then now I've kind of like the pink and the blue values, blue colors with around the same values. And of course, if I want to make things darker, like I want a dark blue instead, then I just go down even further like this. And then it's a darker blue, but with the saturation that I want. And then if I don't want the saturation, then I just go down the saturation. And then now I have a darker blue that's less saturated. So this is the thought process that I had for this specific, not just for this one, but for my Paintovers recently. But like, I want some greens here, I want some orange here. But it's very easy to like just go like this. I guess I like to talk about these kind of things too because it's good recap for me. But then like if I do this, the values, is the value different? Yeah, the values of this one and this one is very different. So if I do something like this, like the green feels like it doesn't really sit in right for me, because green is, shit, is orange brighter than green? Yeah, I think shit around the same. And then because I know that yellow is brighter than green, than like pure green, so if I want to brighten this up, I can also just like go up the hue like this, like that, and then it's like a brighter green. Or I can just go up here like this, and then I use this like thought process to pick and choose the colors all around. Of course, this is also like a very specific look that I'm going for with this Paintover, because this is kind of like just meant for when people post their 3D sculpts, when they post like the 3D sculpts on ArtStation and all that stuff. Usually they have like the main beauty render, they have the matte caps, they have the wireframe, things like that. So essentially this is the matte cap image for my sculpt. So there's a very specific look that I'm going for with this, which is like very like playful in colors. Like you can see like, there's just a whole bunch of colors around here. And it's just all the same idea where I'm like, I want something more pink in this just to make it pop a little bit. Or because this is the skin tone, it should be just a little bit more red, just to bring out some life, I guess. So you can see, especially on the lips, there's a lot of saturation like that. And then trying to bring more, this is also something that I learned from the Paintovers, which is that around this area, just gonna use a soft brush. Like around this area here, this one not really, but this area and kind of like a little bit here, there's more redness in the skin tone. It might be like the nose especially, and it's like the case for me. I just can't like stop picking, as in like when I have to blow my nose and all that, then you just can't help. There's a lot of friction with the tissue and all that. So there is like more redness here. But also I guess like the blood vessels there are more visible. The cheeks also. So areas like this, because I learned from the paint studies on like different girl faces, female faces, that there are more redness in these areas. So I tried to bring that concept into the paints. And as always, like I'm really glad that I do those paint studies, because like it's just a lot easier to do your own things if you have kind of like a base reference to a base library to reference from. Excuse me. Anyway, so that was the idea behind these. Just a little bit of more redness into a skin, because in the renders it was pretty, like, I guess there's a specific look that I'm going for, which works for other things, but just for this very specific case here, I just want to make it a little bit more, like a little bit more flushed and a little bit more alive. So yeah, just like a lot of pinks, a lot of purples in the shadows, a lot of reds in the lips, things like that. And then when you zoom out of this, it looks more like put together. Also like the highlights of the nose, things like that. The eyes, I had to really work on the eyes, because actually, why did I have to work so much on the eyes? I guess because my paint is not really that distinct. So probably I should be more distinct in my paint next time, on especially on the edges of the eyeballs. But I guess especially in the side view, it becomes really blurred out over here. So it was just a lot of adding more contrast. So using this line brush and getting this color like that, and then pushing some of the saturation to something like this. So that's what this one is. And something else that I learned also is using white colors like that to create this like highlight popping on very reflective faces, like eyeballs. I guess that's about it for this one. This one was the same process. This one was the same process, but just with a smaller brush size, because everything is a lot smaller. So as usual, the thing I learned from the paint studies is that these areas here is a lot bigger. So the brush size can be a lot bigger. Then over here, you just have to go a bit smaller, like this one. Especially, I think, let me hide these. Yeah, I had to paint a lot for this, because I realized that I didn't do a lot of the vertex painting on the back view of her scalp. Luckily I did it for her hair, or else like I feel like I just got a lot of work to do. But I have to paint I have to paint a little bit more, like put in a little bit more effort on this. So, but this one especially, it was so difficult to finalize the look for this one. Like, I think initially it was pretty dark like this, but then I like the look of my Blender renders at the background. So this is from the renders that didn't make the cut for the final series. And like that's a thing that I learned from this too, is that I have a few renders in my set, and I have to pick and choose which one I want to work on and which one I want to discard, because else I'll just be stuck on this project forever, and I have to take into account like how fast do I work. I don't work that fast. How much time I'm spending on my work too, and I'm usually anxious, so it's really hard for me to spend the whole day on my work, to be honest. And then how much of that time is spent on learning new things. And so like there'll be certain things that I'll be willing to set aside some time for to learn new things. But then if like it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole of learning new things all the time and feeling great that learning and improving, like learning a lot of Blender geometry nodes, things like that. But then at the end of the day, I have to focus on pushing out new things. So like taking all those into account, then I've decided that I'm not going to work on this one, but I kind of want to put it somewhere. So I decided to put it behind this one. I think if I hide this one, you can see like this is kind of like the original render. It's very pretty, but it's just a lot more time if I have to spend some time on this. Like this is the bottom half. Yeah, I really like this. I really like the look of this. So I was spending a few hours like figuring out, like, do I put it like this? Do I put it dark? Like, do I just go back to a black background, because that would make these a lot more obvious, things like that. Like, it was so difficult. Like I was feeling really stressed out that like this is never going to finish. Yeah, it was so difficult. Oh my god, the mental. That's why I'm just chilling out right now, because I feel like not really that capable of thinking anymore right now. I need a break. And then yeah. So around this time, when I've made like 20 different variations of something like this, and then I was playing around with different settings, and I was like, oh, like this, maybe it looks cool. And then like at that time I looked at it and like, like it's not, like, does it look good? Like, does it work out? And I can't really tell, because it's just so hard to make decisions for yourself. Like it's always so easy to look at other people's work and like give like criticisms and like, oh, you can do this, you can do that to make it look better and all this stuff. But like I'm not really sure whether or not other people feel this way, but when it comes to my own works, suddenly like all these helpful critical things just like goes out the window, and I'll be like, oh my god, like, does this look like shit? Does that look like shit? Yeah. So like mentally draining. So I was like, I went to this one, and then I guess like this a bit of a history of this art piece, and then I was like going back to this, did like 10 more variations of this one, and then this is when This is when like putting things in PRF or putting everything in I guess photos like this is really helpful. Let me brighten this a bit. So I was putting all the images side by side, and then I realized that this is the final piece. And then I realized that, oh, this one is very dark. This one is very dark. This one is also really dark. And if I put this one together with this, everything just look really samey. Like it looks, so like maybe this might have looked better on its own, but then as a whole, it was just the same thing like over and over again. Even though like this was like a different render look. This is like both from Blender renders, but like the idea is the overall look of it, like if you squint your eyes, it's really samey. So because of that, like I was like, oh, like this is good, because now I know that I really want to work on this one. And it helps a lot to think about things that way, because even just like working on a darker background, if you work on a darker background, everything kind of have to change. The relationship of like the background to the foreground has to be quite different. Like maybe I'll need to darken the edges a little bit more. Actually, maybe let me try this. I'm not really sure whether it's going to work out. It just... So like this might be the idea that I have to do for this one, just because the background is a lot darker. Like same thing for this one. And because Procreate doesn't really have a lot of features that Photoshop will have, a lot of these things I just have to do it by hand. So if I do this too, then all the brushstrokes that I do, I guess will have to be under something like that. So there's a lot of these kind of thought processes, that a lot of this kind of decisions I have to make for this kind of things. But yeah, like I don't know exactly how to make this work either. Like these are just like things that I'm thinking might work, but it might also not work. And you can see, like, if I decided to choose this brighter image, then no, these are a little bit too dark, and also a little bit more the dark colors are more around this blue, and then the brighter image is around these teal colors, like small cyan looking overall. So I can't be like working back and forth on the dark one and then change it to the bright one and then change it back to the dark one. And so this, like, just having something like this was really helpful for me to decide, like, okay, like I am sticking to this one, and everything else that comes after that will be decided, because this is the final look that I'm going for. So I think this in terms of like choosing that kind of look, that's, I guess, like it's always like when I talk about it in hindsight, or like I talk about it after it's done, they're like, oh my god, it's so easy. So why did I spend the whole of Saturday and Sunday just like getting stressed out over this? It's like, it feels so stupid. It feels incredibly stupid. Like, I always have no words to say when I'm like looking back and be like, I just feel so stupid. It feels so annoying. So after this was decided very late into Saturday, then I had to figure out like how to like blend the two together. And the second important thing to think about also is how to blend things together, but in the limited deadline that I set for myself. So I wanted to finish everything. Actually, I didn't really plan on finishing everything by the weekend. I was like it's the weekend, like I should take a break and chill out. But then I end up doing work again. Somehow I feel like weekends are the time when I decide that I'm going to be more productive. It's so stupid. But yeah, so like given the skill set that I have right now, what I can do right now, what I can see that is good and what is bad, because that's also like really important. Like if you can't see what the issues are, then there's kind of like just no way to fix the problems if you can't even see it in the first place. And then the deadline, like I need to finish this faster and not spend like another month on this. So with those things in mind, I kind of know that I need to blend the two together. So there's a lot of brush strokes around here like this. So you can see like, I think before, is there a before on this one? No. But if you recall the before and after, before was more like this, and then it's neater and more like 3D looking. And then the one now is like this with a lot of brush strokes. You can see it especially over here, or like even here. You can see all the brush strokes here. So if I don't do, let me see, I guess I don't really have it here too. Actually, so like one of the things would be the way that I like to integrate things across the board is to apply the elements on one thing to the others. So again, using the dry brush, I'm just going over like that just to mess it up a little bit more. Especially over here. But of course, like being mindful that I'm not just like doing random directions like this. Although it's possible to do something like this because it's kind of following the shape of a hair, which might work out too. Like doing something like this. But in the most part, I was just going over the directions that already existed in the renders and just messing it up a little bit more like this. And then that way this part looks more integrated to something like this part here, this area over here. Let me hide this part because I don't really need this anymore. And then another thing that I decided to do is to incorporate some of the foreground colors to the background. So right now this is also more of an artistic choice. Right now it's very teal over here and it's very purple over here. So using the dry brush again, a lot of dry brush, going over to a new layer over the background. You can see like how much I like color corrected and fix up things bit by bit over here. So it's just doing that little bit of introduction of purples to the background, also to mess up very flat areas like this one. So you can see before and after like that. And I feel like this helped integrate the foreground a lot more, because I've made the decision that I want to keep the foreground looking like this, and because that's what I've decided, then I have to kind of like meet in the middle of the two very different things. The background was made in Blender. It was rendered with a lot of fog, a lot of volumetric lighting in the darkness, whereas the Nomad Sculpt one, Nomad Sculpt is like just a simple lighting with it's just macap lighting like this. So it's kind of like really uniform, very bright, and I want it to look like that. I want the background to look like this, and then it's a matter of blending the two together in a way that I understand. So, and of course, like talking about this after the image is done is really a lot easier than, like, it's a lot easier to say than done. It's like, it feels so easy when I just talk about this that I don't even understand like why I was so stressed out about it over the weekend. As usual, like, it's so stupid. So especially areas like this, I'm just using the dry brush. I'm going to eyedrop maybe a dark purple like this, and then I look at it, it's too blue, so I'll undo that, because I don't want this to look very obvious too. Everything is really about like being very subtle with things, because you don't want to, it's very easy to go overboard with this kind of things. So it's just a matter of like, oh, this is too red, and then I think I kind of know what color that I want. This is too saturated, and then I go a little bit more. Still a little bit too purple and saturated. And then this is a lot better, like this. And I can give some variations, so I can go even darker than this. And also keeping in mind that a saturated blue is what's the word? Is naturally a lot darker in value than a saturated purple. So when I want to get like a dark blue, for example, if I'm like looking at this and like, oh, it looks nice, then I'll keep it. But then if I'm like, why is it looking so like dull looking, then it makes sense to me, because a saturated blue is darker than a saturated purple. And that's why if I just shift this a little bit to the left, then it's going to be like more desaturated than the original color that I chose. So yeah, like after learning this kind of things, I'm like, yeah, everything just makes more logical sense to me, and it's a lot easier to approach painting this way for me. And I do want to make a video about it when I do want to make, yeah, I want to make a video about it. I just need to like iron a few things out first, because I guess like there's a lot of self-doubt, and I'll be like what do I yeah, I'm just a bit scared of giving the wrong information, I guess, which I don't really understand why I'm doing that to myself. So yeah. And of course, I want to do the Nomad Sculpt renders, not renders, the Nomad Sculpt tutorials too, which I really promised to make. So it's just going to be in the backlog for a while. So you can see, like, because the value that I chose is darker than the background, it can give a nice effect of something like this. It can give a nice texture compared to I guess it just depends. It just depends on which colors you prefer and like what you like, what kind of look that you like to go for. But you see, like, as I approach the brighter area here, then this color is a little bit too, and it's also turning more yellow and more cyan this way. Then I'll just need to adjust a little bit so that the texture that I include is more integrated with that section over here. So that's the that is the logic behind the way that I integrate this two very different looks. And like I could very easily have chosen something like this, more default, and then maybe do like where is let me settle the layers first. Borrowing the ideas of creating the light rays over here, I can very easily just like go in here and do something like this. Like, it can still look pretty nice this way. Get some tonal variations like this, then use some black to go over some areas to make it less like patchy, more gradients and all that. So yeah, like very easily I can do this. But then it's just the choice that I made, that there's this render that I really like that I don't want to discard completely, because that was one of the things that I was contemplating a lot on Friday, I think, and I guess like the whole weekend, where after I'm done with this piece, then do I like spend another week on this one? And ultimately the answer that I came up to was like, no, I'm not going to spend more time on this. But it was really like, it was just so sad to yeah, it's just so sad to just discard this completely. And I really wanted to save it in some sense. And I know that this one is already very similar to this one. This one is exactly the same as this, but with the volumetric, very dark and underwater lighting. So if I work on this one, it's kind of like a repeat of the other one, and I didn't know whether or not that makes sense or not. So yeah, I'm really happy that I kind of like racked my brains over this over the weekend and found a way to save it and not throw it away. Because yeah, I guess it's such a it's a little bit of a foreign feeling to me to have a few options and then I have to choose to throw certain things away because it's like not enough time, the deadline, or like it doesn't fit the overall series that well. Yeah, it's just like very foreign feelings that I'm starting to learn from working with all these things and setting more concrete deadlines for myself. So that's the what's the word? That's how this happened. So you can see like there's a lot of smudging happening over here and then just going over it to fix it up a little bit. I'm really happy with how this area looks like because it was a bit difficult for me too, this one. And then adding more hair strokes like this, it really helps to integrate things. Like even some areas like this where like probably because of my painting skills is not really like top notch yet. So I really didn't know like how do I paint this area. Like this was so difficult. I don't know why I spent so long in this area. And I was like, when everything's not working out, and I just like, you know what, I'm just going to why you hit that? Okay, let me choose a closer color. See, something like that. And then just nice, it integrates to a pink area over here. Somehow, like by accident, it happens. Then clean it up a bit. And then using the value structures, this area is in shadow, like this. And doing something like this, you can also easily, like let's say if you have a hair strand like this, it looks very much like a brush stroke. So if you just go over it with a shadow like this, you can see like you can start integrating these really thin edges over here like this. Then you can choose to erase the excess too if you want. And then suddenly you have this hair strand that is rotating in space, in 3D space. So that's what this is about, where I'm using the shadows to go over like this to create the illusion that it's turning, the shadows playing around, there's highlights. So this one is going to be in shadow, then highlights is over here and over here. If let's say the light source is going like this, and then something like that. And doing something like this, like of course the colors is not that correct. So let me blend it a little bit to the other areas. So if you do something like this, you can also just like smudge it out with the dry brush too on any additional. Can also create like nice patterns, like you see this dot over here, something like that. And this way it kind of like hides this very empty area over here that I didn't know what to do with. Let me unclip this. So I have this hair strand that goes around over here, and I think that helps to integrate this whole area very fast and very easily. So things like this too, where there are a lot of areas where the hair strand just stops like this because of the 3D sculpt. It just ends over here, this one, which looks nice on this angle of the sculpt, but then it doesn't really look that nice from here. And because of that, I'm just extending this out. Just extend like this with like a light color or dark color, depending on what I feel is good. So this one, same idea, where I have like a hair strand like this, which is just an extension of the colors over here. Also right now the green is in the way, so let me just something like this, and then I can use the line brush too to draw things like that. Even like this. Can even add like hair strands here if I want to, but then it would just be like, how much time do I want to spend on this whole image? You can see like I can easily spend like forever on this. I think especially around the forehead area, it's really important to integrate the baby hairs on the edges, like the little wispy hairs, just to integrate things a little bit more. I always find this like the most satisfying part of doing the hit, where like there's all these tiny little parts to just integrate the hairline to the skin. And of course, because the bulk of the hair is blocking the sideburns and the neck area, so I don't really have to do the little hairs along the ear line and the neckline. But if those are visible, then you probably have to do things like this to those areas over there. And then finally, in terms of the painting, like the ideas I have with the painting side of this is that there's this idea of you do kind of one, like even though this is like a matte cap render where the details are kind of integrated throughout the whole thing, there is like a feeling of I do want the focal point to kind of travel to here, like that. I guess if I do draw out where the focal point and all that is, like probably it goes like this. This is my first time doing like a focal point and direction thing on my own drawings. So this is kind of like the flow that I intended, kind like half consciously intended and half like subconsciously intended. It's also how I decided to place the images behind. Like this image here, where like the brights are over here. So there's like a bright area over here, and there's a bright area over here, and it kind of like intersects like this, like that. Of course, like it's always more straightforward now that it's done, and I can like, oh, look at this detail over here and over here. It's like when I was doing this and trying to figure out the structures of this, it was just so stressful. But I guess it's always fun to like think back on the stress and be like, oh, I've learned so much. So yeah, that when this was kind of like starting to finalize, then around that time I was thinking like the way that the highlights are both over here and it aligns with her face is very nice. So that was something that I decided to keep, because one of the things that I was considering for this was that the darker version like this, something like this, might have been more readable on this area over here. And so I was contemplating, like, do I keep it dark? Like, do I remove the highlights? Do I make it really bright like this and then make the other areas very dark? Do I take another image like this and then like, let me go back to normal and then like put something else over there instead and like erase this. And when you're working on your own things, there's so many possibilities that can happen. And I guess like as the nature of just being an artist, there's always so much room for doubt to happen. Like even something like this actually looks pretty nice. Oh my god. You can see like how stressful it can get. But sometimes it's really just about just setting that time pressure so that you kind of like don't have a choice to, like, you just have no choice but like to just stick with what you have. And sometimes doing something like this is like, if I have all the time in the world, I would have very easily spent like many hours on putting the renders exactly where I want it to be. But because I have such a limited time, the renders that I end up using is just like one image over here that is sideways and one image over here. Oh, hello Ashira. Thanks for coming in again. Yeah, so pretty. And actually this, oh, I can probably show you the original render with this one. So this was the original render. I think this is how it looks. Yeah, I really like this render. It just didn't make sense for me to paint over it. So it's like I could very easily have like 4 different images, like just scatter around. But then because of the time constraint that I set to myself, then I was like, oh, there is a break over here. Because like part of hair is actually, like, if you zoom in really close, you can see the line that I should have like smudged it out a bit. And I guess like limiting myself to that kind of that kind of like train of thoughts, it just made things a lot faster, the process a lot faster this way. So yeah, I think this is also something that I had to really get used to, the thing of setting time limits, like deadlines to my own things, and like finding the happy accidents that comes along. Yeah, the happy accidents that happen during these moments in like stress. It's actually pretty nice. Pretty nice after a successful attempt. It feels like shit when it's not successful. So Yeah, so that's what the thought process. There's so many things going on with the background. Like I really hate that stressful time. I don't remember what this one is. What's this? What are you? Oh, this was what I was doing just now. Well, you can see like it's another cool look like this. Are you doing a mermaid? Yep. But I think this is I'm already done with it, so this is probably the last time that you'll see these. I'm just chilling out a bit today, so just talking about what I've been doing with them, and show like the behind the scenes of how I turn this nomad sculpt this sculpt into all these very different looks like this, because I think it's quite interesting like how like so many different looks can come out from just doing that. Actually, this look is also quite cool. It's like I kind of like the way that this looks quite orange, and then it creates this, yeah, like just so many different things that you can do. It's never ending. But because of time constraints, again, I went for a very specific look. And once I'm settled with this one, then it's just about finishing it up, which is more on like how to say, what's this? So I copied over this background image. No, I don't want to copy that. So I copied this background image and then do like and then brighten it up a bit. Or maybe I use curves, I don't remember. Maybe something like this. And then no, actually I guess I just brighten it. Wait. Maybe like brighten it and saturation. And then using the merge layers from the foreground areas, can use this is kind of like a hack, because Procreate is quite limited in like the way that you can create alpha channels and all this stuff. So I select this, and also because I have all these random like brush lines like this. And oh, thank you for dropping by, Shira. Nice to see you again. Can you do my melody? My melody would be quite cute, I guess. It reminds me of the Netflix trailer for My Melody, and who's the other person? But it looks pretty cute and cool. Maybe I want to watch that one. What did I want to do? So I merge all the individual strands and all that, and then click on this, select this, and then use it to mask this. Wait, no. Let me think. How did I do this? I kind of need to remember this because I'm going to... Okay, wait. So I have to select this. I have to select this, and then white and black, and then invert this, and then use the feather to feather this, and then that way I'll get the edge glow from it, and then use that to mask this. But I don't want it to appear on everything else. So I have to select this again and then invert this. Yeah, it's so hacky with Procreate. And then I'll paint a black on the outside. Like this. And then this way. I think in Photoshop, because I've used it last time. Hey, maybe I'll just type this in. And then yeah, in Photoshop there's this way to do edge glow. I think that's a setting. I think I remember using it a lot last time when I used to use Photoshop. So this is doing the same thing where I'm getting the little bit of alpha channel from the edges of the foreground and blurring it a little bit towards the edge. It's kind of like a wrapping of colors. And then using the background of the image, I'm using it to kind of like do a color bleed into the foreground like this. So you can see over here, it goes like this. Something like that. Then this helps to integrate the foreground and background a little bit more. Because right now it's a little bit intense, so it's actually it feels like with this one, I don't really have it over here. Actually, why did I not have it over here? Okay, I don't know. And then using the same layer, I just blurred the layer a bit. Like this. Let me delete this one. If you just blur the layer a bit, I'll blur the layer a lot. Then you get this, and then I can use this to just create a very subtle like blue overlay over the whole thing, like that. I feel like this kind of process, I don't remember where I learned it from, but I feel like I did something very similar like this when I used to paint over things, or when I used to do compositing, I think. Then I do things like this, and I don't know whether this is this the most optimal way of doing things, but it's just the way that I can understand right now, and it's kind of like in my disposal right now. So just using whatever I can to do whatever I can in the limited amount of time that I have. Then the final bit for this one is just adding some light leaks to the whole image, which let me show you. I really like this. Where are you? Under luminance. With all these brushes, there was a time when I was playing around with Procreate, and so like I can't remember that certain brushes exist in my head. And I remember that there was this flare light leaks and stuff, but I've never used it. But I was thinking like how do I integrate this a little bit more? And it's like, oh, maybe I should add some light leaks to it. And like, who knows, maybe it would be cool. So that's what happened with this. And I found that I really like using the mid colors over here. I think if you go too saturated, then it's too intense. Hello Jupiter, welcome back. It's alright. I'm just chilling out over here, minding my own business. And I think if we go like dark like this, I'm not really sure whether... Yeah, I feel like I consistently like this one over here, like somewhere in the mid-tone at the brightest setting. And it's really just about just being very subtle as usual with this. Like you really don't want to go overboard with this. Something like that. You see, like this. Just trying to remember the way that the light leaks on the film, what's that called? The film negatives look. And just having the basic understanding of usually the light leaks happen when when the roll is not super tightly bound and there's some light leaking into the film, or maybe it happens during the exposure or something. So usually it can happen on like edges of the film, like this. And compared to putting it in the middle, that's quite pretty. And I can go like a bit more blue and teal, something like this. And I think the brushes are random, so it's just about like going over and over and seeing which one that I like. Just going very lightly on different areas, like this. And something that I like with this is that it kind of creates like this 3D effect with the image, like some underwater photography kind of thing. As in, that's what this looks kind of right now. So that was how I got this kind of thing. I think I kind of went a bit more green, maybe somewhere around here for this. Yeah, it's a bit more green. And really, I'm pressing very lightly right now. Like that. So it's really fun to use this one. That's why I also have this over here. Because I wanted to show you guys on, like, this was the finished painting that I did for this. And I was thinking, like, after looking at this image, I went back to this one that I did probably last week, I guess. And I was like, oh, maybe it'll look nice with the light leaks. So that's what happened on this one. It's so pretty. Ah. It's so fun to do this. It's like, it feels like I have a roll of film, but then I'm not spending the money to do the roll of film and like developing it. And they can go like really intense, I guess. It's really cool. there's a lot of things that I can complain about Procreate, but the brushes are really good in Procreate. I think that's why I've been using it quite a lot more now, because like I'm kind of just working around the stupid things that the interface has, but like all these brushes and things that works in my favor is just really nice. So you can do something like this. It's so pretty like that. Like I like how this one turned out really green in the final one, because it kind of coincides with the green elements over here. Yeah, like somehow the light leaks that I made for this by accident, I guess. It's nice, it's subtle, and it kind of blends in with, probably because I chose the colors too. Like I probably went more green on that side and then more cyan on this side, like this. And it just makes things a lot more pretty like this. It's so beautiful. Ah. Actually, I wonder how it looks like on the bird. It looks cute, I guess. Cute. Yeah, it's nice to use a big brush to just go over it like that. And it's quite important to make sure that you stay quite far out when doing things like this, just so that you can see, because it's very easy to make things look good up close like this, but then when you zoom out, it's like, oh, it kind of looks out of place. Maybe it might not look out of place, but it can look out of place, which is also something that I've learned to try and get better at, to stay more zoomed out when working on things, and then that way I can make better decisions on how to construct the whole image and make them work together. Like I guess actually this one looks quite nice, I guess. I guess I'll just leave it. But I mean, it's already posted and done with, so I'm not going to fix it or anything. I guess I'm quite curious about this one. I don't think I have done any of this on stream, because I kind of finished this quite early on and I just decided not to work on it anymore. Probably something like this where the colors are less, there's less variations in the color color range. Yeah, because of that, probably something like this I would have to do, probably I would have to do more like over here, whiter, just to give a very or maybe more blue, because I feel like the green is not really working, and just trying this out for fun. You can see that is quite random how it appears. Yeah, something like that. I guess I have to go soon too. For this one, For this one, I don't really recall what I did, just because I worked on it quite a while back. I guess this is a final piece. There's some interesting workflow with this specific piece over here. And it's quite dark. Let me brighten this. Which is... This was the... I'll show you the original render for this. This wasn't. This was one of the variations that I tried, which I ended up discarding because it wasn't really working out. I guess it can kind of look quite cool, but it's not. Yeah, it was just not working out. It's like too 3D. So there's one image that I can I just look at this by itself? No. This was the image that I decided to stick with. But I don't really like the way that one side is so blue and one side is so orange. And the background is not working. So the background is the volumetric fog that is happening to create all these soft lighting on her. So you can see like there's very soft glowing happening on the different areas like this. Like if you compare it to this one, this one is really like straightforward lighting. Everything, the light sources are just hitting directly on her and then just bouncing around like this. So it's pretty harsh, like how it can look. You can see like this. So the fog can really help to soften out a lot of the I need to keep going back and forth. It can really help to soften out all these looks. I really like how it looks like over here. But like at first I discarded this render, but then the next day when I looked at it again, I was like, maybe I can use this. And this is all in Blender because Nomad Sculpt, we can do volumetric lighting. I can't wait for a Blender for iPad. I feel like it's about time that it comes out. Okay. So what I use this one for is to create the alpha channel for this image. Because when you have the volumetric fog like this, when you have it like this, I don't think you can just get the alpha channel like this. I think because the volume is also like all these, the white areas are the alpha, the alpha being like more than 0. And then the dark areas is the alpha being like less than 1. Does that make sense? So I use a render without the volumetrics to create the alpha channel for this, so that I can do like a fresh start with the background, which also took a really long time to figure out for me because everything takes a really long time for me to figure out. And what's this? Oh, now it's all like coming back to me. So the background for this image is, yeah, it's the image with Gaussian blur to the max. I kind of want to recap this so that I can apply this to my future renders. And something that I found really nice for through this exercise was the use of the gradient maps. But I kind of think that some people, or like a lot of people, use gradient maps as like the final touches, but then I use it more for, at least recently I've been using it more for color correction, because it's a little bit different. I'm not really sure, like it feels quite different from just doing like curves and stuff like this, I think. So if I get this image right here, and I'm going to try to replicate this so that I know for sure that this is what I did for this. If I do gradient maps, one of the default one, which one? Maybe this one. I'm not sure which one I chose. Maybe this one? And then I can use this. You can slide up and down like what you want to use, but then I find it a lot easier to control when everything is maxed out like this. And I think, yeah, 43%. And then I can just choose the slider over here. I find it a lot easier to control it this way than I have like a separate image, and I still have the original one here, and then I have the separate image that has been gradient mapped. Then this way it's a lot easier to control, and like if I want to change the way that it looks, it's very easy to just go back to this layer and then just push it up if I want to, or push it down depending on how I feel about it. So that's what this one is. Hey, I'm glad that I didn't forget all this stuff. Wait, why can't I undo this? Okay. Then for this one, what do I do for this? I feel like something happened and I forgot what happened. Oh my god, what happened? This. Was it just painted over? I guess so. Oh, is it? I'm just finding out things. I'm as confused as you are with what happened with this. Okay, so it is just, so after this is done, then just duplicate this. These were just like things that didn't work out. You can see like through my layers in Procreate, like just how many things didn't work out. So many things didn't work out. It's kind of like a peek into the past of all the shit that happens. So flatten this, and then the same thing using the dry brush. I can, depending on the way that, wait, why is this so bright? Okay, let me flatten this. Just making sure that this is the stream file. I learned it from the previous stream not to work on my original files because I accidentally saved something stupid on and messed up one of them. Is this the one? Yeah. So this one is okay. So the same thing with this, the same concept where I'm just smudging things around like this, dry brush. And this is I found out that it's very dependent on the style of the image that you're trying to correct. So in this case, this is very different from this, where everything has, like, let's say if I put the saturation, where everything is kind of very similar. All the midtones are here, the shadows are not really there. So this is very like flat compared to this one. So there's like pros and cons of this. I think, if I remember right, that if I just blur this out like this, then I can, let me see, what do I do with this? Yeah, so if I blur out like this, I can drag very nice highlights through, something like that. So I'm quite purposefully going through like the highlights with this. And then just making sure that if I'm going through these areas and there's a highlight here, I just need to be careful. Yeah, I just need to be careful. Like, this is the second time I'm going over this, so it's a little bit more familiar with me. I just need to be careful with the direction of the lines, whether or not I want to, if I drag out from here to here, you can see that I'm pulling out the highlights. If I'm dragging from here to here, you can see that I'm pulling out the shadow. So it can really go completely like 180 depending on what you choose to drag out, like this one too. Something like that. Like if I drag this only, then it's really dark. If I drag this, then a lot of the highlights are going to come through along the way. I'm not really sure, but I feel like, actually I'm not really sure. I guess I kind of feel an image like this is a lot easier. No, an image like this is a lot easier to work with, just because you have such a big value structure. Thanks for hanging out, Jupiter. And I hope that you get well soon. Please rest well. Yeah, thank you for hanging out, and thank you for coming back. It's nice having you, and thank you for coming down early. That was a nice surprise. I'll see you next time. And then, so like this. Yeah, so I can pull out something like this. Like that. But I wouldn't want to go both ways, or else it kind of loses the shape that I like. And then at the same time, just try to stay as far as I can. Yeah, just stay as far as I possibly can with this. So yeah, dry brush with smudging. I've been really liking it so far. I really don't know whether or not this is something that I want to keep forever. It's just something that I've been using, and it's been working out fine for me. It's been working out for the type of renders that I'm doing. And then, yeah, I feel like it's probably quite dependent on the renders too, just because I've all these ridges over here. So like I have all these ridges, and I have some color variations with the sculpt, including this part. You can see in the matte cap that this part is painted like this. So it's not because of the lighting. Like this is from paint or vertex painting. But because of all these ridges and all that stuff, it creates a lot of light and shadow with this intentional lighting. And because of that, oh my god, stop. And because of that, it's like I have this very nice base to work with, like that. So yeah, I haven't really tried this with simpler stuff. Actually, no, I have. So something like this is more simple, and I guess it doesn't really work out that well for this. Like if I do this, it's no, I guess it's fine, but it's not really the look that I want to go for something like this. This is the next one I'm working on, by the way. I just want to make it look pretty and stuff. Yeah, like I don't think this really works out that well. So this one's going to be a good exercise to think about like what I can do with more like simple, soft and round simple forms. But in terms of this one, I kind of have it figured out. So you can see like I can duplicate this shape. I can add more variations. Like this is just me dragging things out with a smudge. Something like that. And because everything else around here, or like including some areas where it's renders only, it kind of matches with that. Even something like this, actually no, that's not really that nice. Sometimes when the contrast is quite high, then I need to go at it very delicately. Something like this. Yeah, actually, I don't really know how to make a video about this. I'll say just because I'm because I'm just stupid at making videos. And then this area is in shadow, but maybe I can bring in some lights in there, maybe. And then I can use a texture brush to just, if it's not working out, I can use a texture brush to do this. Like just dragging things out. Especially this works really well for areas that I don't want to have that contrast level. Because everything's also about balance. You don't want to have everything to be too samey like this. Like it just loses everything this way. So sometimes I'm going over it with the dry brush, sometimes I'm going over it with the texture brush, and all these are the default Procreate brushes. Something like this. Just to create a little bit more of like a softness to it, make it look less like a 3D render. Can even go a little bit like this with the same concept, making it look a little bit less like a 3D render. I think there's a lot of things that I can improve on for this one, especially this area, but it's always about putting that effort in the next one. So something like this where it's getting smaller, then I'll try to use a smaller brush to do things a little bit more delicately, like this. I think when doing things that are beautiful and pretty, like it's really important to. And I guess, like I've been trying to teach myself to talk with more confidence, like that I know the shit that I'm doing. Honestly, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I think there is some truth to like doing beautiful and yeah, beautiful looking things. It's really about trying to be delicate with the way they are. Yeah, just being very delicate. Like I don't want to be like this. Like this is too much. But just a little bit like that. And doing things that are doing things like this, it's a different kind of practice from like sculpting like robots or sculpting dinosaurs. It's really different. Like the way that you have to work is, I feel like it's quite different. And I feel like when it comes to things that are pretty, I feel like it's a lot less forgiving. Like I feel like with I may be wrong because I haven't done dinosaurs before, but things like dinosaurs or like animals with a lot of wrinkles in skin, I think those things are more forgiving because because of what? I'm not really sure. So that's what this one is. Okay, I need to go soon. And then so this is what this background is, foreground is like. I really like the way that, I think this wasn't intentional on my part, but there's this part of the render which I really like how it ended up looking, like from far. It looks very nice. Yeah, it's so pretty. And the background is, I guess I've talked about the background before in an earlier stream, but it's the same thing where I took this image, the base render, blurred out, and then applied the same gradient map, which is this one. I applied the same gradient map, and I think this one, yeah, and then set it to 43%. And then around this time I was like, I think the look is kind of going the right direction, although I was feeling really stressed out with this. And this was such a pain to figure out. And then just going over with let me see, which brush was it? I think a mix of this brush and this, was it just soft brushes? Maybe it's just soft brush. And then with a low opacity, just going like that. I guess I have to go even lower, like this. So I have to kind of move, especially with this nib right here. It becomes like a lot more wobbly if I just stay still like that. You can see. So it's just like that. And try to think about the direction of where the light is coming in. So because the light rays are rays of light coming from the sun, which would be kind of like, imagine the sun is up here, like this. This is the sun, and then it's like spitting out lights, rays of lights to this environment. So it's a really huge distance away. I kind of like learned this because there was a show that I was working in the VFX when I was still working in my VFX job, and it was underwater. I think, wait, was it Aquaman? The one with Jason Momoa. Oh my god, butchering everyone's name. And so like there's a lot of light rays, a lot of like volumetrics and stuff to play around with in that show. And so like I think back about that time of my work experience to think about when I'm making the light rays, I don't want it to feel like it's coming from such a close distance. So it's not like that. Like light rays are not like this when it's coming in down into the water, because the sun is so far away. I can see like it looks a bit weird. Like now it looks like some theater show in the spotlight. So instead you want it to be coming from a really far distance like that. And then I'm just exaggerating right now so they can see the direction. And then draw something like this. And then depending on how you want the lights to be, you can increase the contrast or whatnot. And after that is actually, I think the problem is because I'm using such a bright color. Yeah, so using a dark color because the background is so dark, or I can even just change things up just to give variations. No, I can't. Right. So something like that. And then if you let me just make sure that I did. And then if you put like different thing. Yeah, if you put different bands like this, then you can start seeing the overlap is brighter, and then it'll create this sense of depth in the light. So that's what these are. They're just overlapping soft brushes. Like, why are you not? Yeah, they're just soft brushes overlapping each other like this to create these fake bands of lighting. And then for this, oh yeah, so and then this one is just to exaggerate some of the lights, where I will have some that is more sharp and distinct. Then this will just create more variations in, like this is the before and this is the after. Just creates more variations so that it looks more realistic. I mean, I don't know how realistic this looks, but and then adding some texture to the edges like this. Very likely everything has to be very delicate like this. So I'm just eyedropping like this color. Why not? So I'm just eyedropping like a nearby color, and then just just using like texture brush. There's a lot of cool texture brushes from Procreate's default menu. I think it's around, which one is it? It's actually, no. Oh my god, which one is it? There's some industrial ones. Some... Where are you? Why is it that I can't find things when I want to find things? Whatever, they're just somewhere. Where is it? Oh, okay, so one of them is here. The grunge texture. Yes, it's so fun to talk about these kind of things. It's so fun to see progress. Yes. And think. Yeah, so just layering things bit by bit, where I'm like, okay, this part looks too similar to this part, then what can I do to break it up? And also, because like if you've been underwater before, there's just a lot of things like floating around, especially in, I guess like in large bodies of water, that is like the sea or a lake, where it's not a moving stream, then you start seeing all the particles floating around. So that's also the secondary effect of these textures when trying to create that kind of debris floating around this volume of water. And then finally, this one is just lost of speck, and I feel like I kind of want to look for a dead brush, because these are still looking quite like like round brush, but I guess it works for now, so maybe I don't need to. So that's what this one is. Like I have some like textures going on, and then you can use the perspective blur. So I can use it on this skull. You can use the perspective blur to create directional force movement. And I really like the perspective blur, chromatic aberration, and the actually I just really like the perspective blur. You can see it's a bit limited because it's like, oh, you can only do one direction from one straight line from this space, from where it's pointing to, but like it's enough, I guess. Like sometimes I wish that there's a way to do a more like a curved area, but maybe the workaround for that is to just like do perspective blur and then use a big liquefy to like slowly push things around until it creates a band like that. Learn something new every day. Need to remember this. So yeah, I really like the perspective blur, and there's also a reason why I come back to Procreate a lot, because I find like the things that do work in Procreate, they work really well. Things like the brushes, the liquefy, although it's kind of stupid that this one doesn't work with like the brush size macros. And then the noise is nice, chromatic aberration is nice. Although I feel like for the displays, I wish that if you've used DaVinci Resolve before, then you'll know that when you're at the color grading tab, if you move things around for the colors, there's a little bit of a resistance. So you kind of have to like pull a bit harder for it to move very slowly. And I find that that's very nice for color grading and things like this, because then you can move like quite a bit to shift, to do like a very delicate shift. Something like this. Like you just really want a little bit of shift like that. You don't want too much. But then with Procreate, it's like oh my god, like it's so difficult. And then I have to go in like this. I have to reset this. And then I have to like, oh my god, it's so hard, so difficult. Like just move it a bit. Yeah, I have to do something like that for all my chromatic aberrations. I don't really know whether that's a better way to do this. Yeah, and then you can see like this is the Nomad Sculpt render. I was kind of considering like do I do one of the Nomad Sculpt one, but then I end up not doing it because it kind of clashes with this anyway. You can see the difference like before and after, just with different materials and different lighting, and of course with blender cycles is really nice. It's so pretty. Look at this rim light, it's so pretty. That's so gorgeous. Like even the face is so pretty. I'm really proud of the face sculpt for this one, because the previous sculpt before this, my face sculpt was a bit bad. And yeah, I was just like avoiding trying to point the camera to the face, because I'm like, oh my god, like the sculpt is nice, but then the face is so questionable. And then it feels like the face is ruining the whole thing. So I kind of like push the camera away from the face all the time. But I'm so happy that I can put the camera on the face now. Because she's so pretty. It feels so superficial. And then after that, it's just the matter of integration, which is chromatic aberration, just a little bit. Okay, where's the chromatic aberration on this? And then brightening the whole image, because something that I learned while working on this iPad M4 is that the value contrast is nice. Like the whites are really bright, the darks are very dark. But then when I bring it to my phone or other screen devices, I'm like, oh my god, it looks like shit. I need to like bring it over. And I feel like maybe this is just because I'm lacking in skill of seeing things well. Like maybe other artists are like looking at this like, why are you doing it so dark? Why are you doing it like that? I don't know. Can't say for sure. But so I've been bringing this over to like my phone. You can see it looks quite different on the phone. And just like bring it up. Yeah, just like color correcting. I think, wait, was it this bright? Yeah, just like correcting the colors and the value structure, just so that they look better on other devices. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I've learned from this project. I'm really happy with the progress. And it feels like I've leveled up. And yeah, I'm very excited to do other things now that I know how to paint things better. I think especially with this one, I learned so much on like making a different look. Yeah, I just learned so much from this. And yeah, it's exciting to try and bring this to my Night Rain, which I haven't done it in a while. But I want to get back to the Night Rain, Elden Ring, Night Rain sculpt. I want to go back to that one. What else is there? I have to finish this one. I want to finish this one too. Oh my god, it's so bright. I want to finish this one too. Maybe I'll just do like a chill stream another day, just to like work on painting this, and then you can listen to the ASMR. It's the wrong one. And you can listen to the nice sounds as I paint. So I hope that you look forward to that. Yeah, this one too, I've learned a lot of like just being more free and just doing like whatever the hell I want with this and just like having fun with all this stuff. Yeah, I really like how this one turned out. It looks very nice. And that's about it for this stream because I've rambled on for too long. I've learned like a shit ton of things with this. And it was just so fun because like even across these 3 renders, and they are all these images will be available for viewing on my ArtStation page. So if you go over to cornerbird _ ArtStation, you can see these images better. Of course, I don't have the Pro ArtStation membership, so the max that I can upload is 2K. So, but then I think you can see all these things in quite high detail, even in 2K. Yeah, I'm really happy with this. Like, I'm so proud of myself. Like, give myself a pat on the back to finish all these things, and they all look way nicer than I imagined them to be. Like, especially for this one, the original one looks like this. Like, this was the before. This was the before, and this is the after. So I'm really happy with. Yeah, I'm just really happy with everything. So if you're waiting for my Nomad Sculpt stuff and tutorials, I'm working on it. I'll get to it. I'll get to them. I guess I'm just tired now. Tired about thinking about art all the time. But I'm going to bounce back soon. And I just when I posted the things on ArtStation, I just felt so relieved. I felt like I could finally sleep properly because I'm like, oh my god, I finally posted something on my ArtStation and my Instagram. Yeah. And it's a feeling that I want to become familiar with and get used to, so I'll work hard to push things out faster and make things look really nice so that you enjoy looking at the stuff that I make. And I think that's it for today. I'm gonna head off for dinner and go bouldering and have fun bouldering and exercising. I hope that you have fun doing whatever sport that you're happy with and have fun making art. I'll see you guys in the next